So, hello. Lassi already introduced me. I lead a UX design team, one of those teams at Mandatory Group. It's one of two biggest internet companies in Russia. And today I'll be speaking about how we are moving from solution validation in our data-driven design approach to problem fighting. This is a part of my series on applied UX strategy. I was writing it for 3.5 years now for UX Matters, and it covers different topics, but the core idea is that as a company, we want to be more mature in design. So to be more mature, we travel from chaos to operational, to tactical, and then to strategic level. It means that on an operational level, we are the most effective as individual contributors. On a tactical level, we are the most effective as a product team. And finally, on a strategic level, we are effective as a business. But to get there, you have to travel a lot of small journeys and fights and so on. So this series covers it all. You should build design systems. You should create a good design culture. You should build a good design team. You should set up processes and so on and so on. But one of the key parts of the journey is to learn how to solve problems, how to find problems, and how to solve problems. And designers often start at the end of this process, so they help product teams to launch products with a good design, which is polished, with a lot of nice, delightful details, and so on and so on. But they rarely go to the beginning of this workflow when we need to find and solve user problems, which will give value to business and users. Then we need to find solutions for the problems that will bring maximum outcome for the business. And finally, we'll develop, launch, optimize the solution, and get the benefit we planned. So we were also at the end of this journey at Mandatory, and because the scale of the company is pretty huge, it's 150 million monthly users and about 50 products, and my team deals with 20 of that. And you need scalable solutions here to make it work, and you need to change your mindset and the mindset of a company to do it all. And here's a good diagram from Melissa Perry and Scott Selhorst. They show where the responsibilities of product managers and product designers overlap. And you see here's a lot of deliverables, but at the bottom of the list there are customer problems. And this should be the focus of product designers that wish to be valued, that wish to not only work on deliverables or on requirements that somebody gave them. If they want to influence also product direction, product definition to be in the beginning of this workflow, they should learn how to do it. And we, as a team, also went through the journey for those years, and I'll tell you a couple of case studies that helped us to progress here, to learn some tools, some methods, and so on. It started for us with ways to validate our design solutions. So you, for example, launch a new product or a feature, and you learn how to understand if your UI pattern is working. It means do users click those buttons, links, and blocks? Do users see them? Are your scenarios working as intended? So are they engaged? How is your conversion funnel? And so on and so on. And one of key breakthrough moments was the redesign of two news products. It is News and Sports website. Screenshots will be in Russian, but you'll get the idea because you see it's mostly pretty standard. So we proposed pretty good visual design and pretty good scalable information architecture that will make it work, and we were happy with that. But by the time of the launch, we get the first report from analytics team, and it was, I can say it was a disaster, but we had a lot of problems here because a lot of UI patterns worked really bad. They worked worse than before, and key metrics went down. So we were in a rush to work hard with the product team to propose hypotheses to fix those problems, to find new ideas, and after some time it went well, and we were ready to launch. When later this year we started to work at sports website, we learned this knowledge, how to use those tools, how to use those methods, and as a result, by the time of the launch, only one of those here patterns worked worse than before. So it was a quick fix to do that, and we were ready to launch. It happened in 2012. 2 years later, we had a massive redesign coming in because we needed to rebuild all of our news products. It is a dozen of products on a design system which we call project-driven design. It is because it is made of slices. You put stacking containers one after another, and it is made because we wanted to avoid columns, because columns doesn't let you to rearrange design pretty easily, but with this design you can move those containers up and down, you can remove it and put on any other page, and it's super easy to do it. But the problem is, because we made it all stackable, the length of the page, it became longer. So one of the key hypotheses to test for us was, do users scroll those pages? And so we built scroll funnels for all the key pages. These numbers are fictional, but you get the idea. So we built those funnels, and it worked mostly well until we found that a couple of key pages performed really bad. And here's an example. On the left, it's movie listing page in our online cinema, which is pretty homogeneous. You have listed movies, and then we have those breaking containers here, which promote different features of a website, like other movies, TV series, and so on and so on. And we also have aggregation page, which is, for example, a section main page or this website main page. And we saw that the page on the left performs really bad. We don't know why, because we use the same container. It is all the same. We use the same idea throughout the whole website. On this page it works, and here it's not. So we run a usability tested session to see why it is. And so we clearly saw that people consider this pattern here as the end of the page, because they see a continuous list of the same items here, and they perceive it as the end of the page. But they don't have this problem on those aggregating pages. And so our solution was to decrease the size of those containers and to make them less contrasting. But it was also important for us to dig into details, because, you know, when managers see some bad metrics, they sometimes in a panic and they want to change it all, but we want to keep the key ideas, so we want to find the reason of the problem. And as a result, this knowledge of how to use tools, how to dig deeper into problems, helped us to launch the whole product line faster than before, because it was, as I said before, about a dozen products. And with every new redesign, we had less and less problems, because it is a design system. We reuse all of those patterns, and we didn't have the problem we fixed already. And as a result, we created something like a great step-by-step launch strategy for those products. And this is an example of events guide website. In 2012, it was just a place where you can buy tickets to movies, theaters, concerts, and so on. But our product management team saw that there is a huge new opportunity in online cinema market, because it was much bigger than this whole market. And so we decided to go to this space. But because it required for the product to be rebuilt pretty massively, we couldn't do it in one huge step. So we decided to go in two parallel tracks. At first, we included the new features to the old website, so users can be accustomed to that. They learn how to use movies, how to watch movies. They made habits to do it here, and we also were able to build partnerships with other online cinemas, so we can grow our movie base database. In parallel, we started to work on a new product. So we had a co-design session where we brainstormed about key ideas about this new version. And when we have had this list of ideas, we invited users to test our prototypes. So we get the feedback about what we should take into the final product. And with all of that, we designed and developed the new version, and when it was in an alpha stage, we held a usability testing session to see if it works. Conceptually, it was good. There were a lot of small problems. We fixed all that, and then we were ready to roll it out. We did it gradually. So at first, we launched it to the 5% segment of users to see how it works, to get the feedback on key metrics and optimize it. And when we were sure that it doesn't break the product, we increased the segment to 30% of users. Then we also saw analytics, fixed all the bugs, and when it was almost safe, we launched it to the rest of the audience. After that, we ran another usability testing session to see if there are still problems left. And when it was done, we finally rebranded the product from Events Guide website to online cinema. So it was a good step-by-step process to make it safe. As you see, we progressed a lot from just launching something and seeing that it breaks to be totally sure that it works. Another method that helped us here is a practice of debriefs. It's when we run a usability testing session or launch some feature, we meet as a product team, and then we see what worked and what's not. So we look, for example, at usability testing report and see problems here. If the problem is pretty simple to fix, we just add it to the roadmap. If it's not, we held another session when we brainstorm and co-design about possible solution and try to find hypotheses how to fix those problems. The same idea is with analytics. So this a screenshot of analytics report. So we also gather as a product team and discuss the findings, and we propose ideas together how to fix them. So we came from the simple idea of looking at some simple metrics to the whole process that helps the whole product team to collaborate on those findings and to solve it together. It was the beginning for us, but we wanted to go deeper because it's pretty easy to fix simple bugs. It will make your product more stable, but there is more potential in finding unsolved user problems. And we have a pretty good example here, which we want to scale later. It is a feature in our webmail. It is called Clean My Mail, because, as we know, the key problem in a product which makes users to leave is when their mailboxes becomes too messy. It is because they subscribe to a lot of newsletters and they forget to unsubscribe from those newsletters, and sometimes it becomes unmanageable and they just feel that it's impossible to deal with that, and they just create a new email account. And we're lucky if this new email account will be in our product, but sometimes it's not. So even if we are not responsible for the problem because it's users who subscribe to those newsletters, we have to solve it. And we saw, so we learned from analytics and quality research where is the problem. So we have a segment of users which shows people who are about to leave. They're almost ready to drop the product. And we also do quite often comparison usability testing sessions with different products, email products, to see why people drop products, why people use it, and we see those stories of people that had problems with that. So we stories, the data stories, and we get the empathy on that. So we gathered a small task force of 2 product designers and 2 product managers to find solutions here. And there are 3 ideas. The first idea is to use threads when you combine all of the messages on the same topic in the same discussion. But the problem is, it is mostly for personal communication, and it doesn't solve the problem with newsletters. Another idea is to help users to unsubscribe and sort and filter those newsletters in some easy way. And the third idea is to help users to start from scratch and create a new email account. Second solution looked as the most promising for us, so we started a series of code design sessions with that small task force to look for ideas. And we wanted to make it pretty simple because we looked at what competitors do in this area, like Gmail, they do tabs, and it's a new level of navigation. You have 3 levels now. It's folders, labels, and tabs. And it makes user interface a bit more messy. So we were looking for a super simple solution, and for us it was something more like a wizard. So it helps users to put those messages in folders, and it's pretty, and then after that your mailbox is clean. But we wanted to be sure that the feature will work and it will be used. So the first idea here was to target only users who have this problem. So we used our big data to learn through usage patterns and find users who are already met this problem. And so we show the promotion on the top only to this segment of users. And if you, for example, work pretty fine with your email account and it's good, then you dropped it for some time, it will pop up for you and it will help you to solve the problem. The next idea was to show the problem vividly, because a lot of people who have this problem, they just don't understand how critical is that for them. So we want to show how little messages do they read. So this is a statistic for a particular user, which shows how many messages do they read, how many messages do they delete without reading at all, and so only 5 to 10% of messages they read and use. And we also wanted to make it pretty simple for them to apply, so we didn't want it, for them to set up filters by hand. So our team also gathers and improves the database of senders. So we have this constantly updated database of senders, and we by the start of the feature, we propose the user to the solution, already made solution. So we already put those newsletter senders in the folders, and they have only to press OK here. And the feature was pretty successful for us. 3 million people use it already, and it helped us to reduce churn and improve retention. We also saw that it's a good idea that we, as designers, can bring features that can be implemented in a product, because we always fight for our ideas to be taken into a product roadmap. And so we took this case study as a reference to make more of them. And to make it happen, we are working now on a knowledge base which will help us to find more user problems. In 2013, I was in a talk by Aaron Walter from MailChimp, where he showed a knowledge base that they built within Evernote. The idea is that they aggregate all of the data from different data sources about people. It is analytics, it is user research sessions, it is user feedback, it is market research, and so on and so on. They have 50 notebooks here from different sources of data. So they have a lot of insights, and it helps them to do 2 things. First, they can understand problems in more details, because they see it from different perspective. They have all the data here, and then they don't need to spend a lot of time on finding this data. And it also helps them to find new problems, because they see something new emerge, because something they see emerge, something new meeting something new, a new problem, and they can start to work on it too. Here's also a good example from Atlassian. They learn how to categorize all of the feedback users sent to them, and they get about 15,000 comments every month about problems in the product. And they learn how to categorize it with machine learning, because they don't want it to support people to make it by the hand. And they put it into 3 buckets. One is reliability, another one is usability, and the final one is functionality. And they see which one of them is the most problematic now. And they can set quarter priorities based on that. So they see the feedback from users, they see this problem is the most critical now, so they focus the team on that problem. But we were a bit unlucky to make that knowledge base because we tried to do it in Confluence, which is pretty hard to customize, and we tried hard, but then we just gave up until this year, because this year a new tool called NomNom launched. It helps you to do just that. So you can aggregate a lot of insights from different sources and see those problems from different viewpoints. Another thing we want to do now is to get more of our customer journey maps, because it helps us to see the whole picture of user interaction with the product, but we want to include some data here, so we see the most problematic points here. And so we want to put data points on every step of the customer journey map. And we are trying to use a tool called Expressa here, which helps you to do that. So we see which part of a customer journey map has the most problems. And the final part we are working on now is to segment users better with the big data. It is where our analytics team is working hard now, because we have a lot of niche features, like I told you before, and if you just promote it to the whole customer base, it will be unused mostly, because you'll see small numbers of usage. It will be hard for you to understand who uses it and who doesn't use it. So, for example, this picture, it's a new feature for car owners, where we send notifications about new fines for them, and they can pay those fines inside of our webmail. And how do you target those users? How do you find any behavior signals that will tell you that those people are car owners? Because there are no any indicators of cars in webmail. So it is one of key ideas for now that will help us to work better with the product. So we are somewhere in the middle of this journey. With some products that have great product managers, it allows us to use the most modern methods and tools, and so we can have a good progress here. But some products pretty in a bad form, so we don't have almost any data here, and we are driving half-blind. So our idea is to make it all work as I described in this presentation. And even if we are in the middle, it's already helping us to get more of our product design efforts. And to sum up my points, you can start from simple things to learn how to use tools, how to understand metrics, how to propose and test hypotheses. And you should also mix quantitative and qualitative research, because they supercharge each other and they help you to find and understand problems. And finally, if you are able to build a knowledge base of those insights, it will help you to spot user problems that will bring more value to business and users, and will make designers more valuable at the company. So, closing up. This series will be a foundation of my book on applied UX strategy, and you can read all of those chapters at uxstrategy.co. And here will be a newsletter about updates about that. And I think that's it. So thank you for your time, and I'm ready to answer your questions.